Hello everyone, my name is Laura. I love to crochet and today I have a very fun purchase to show you. I was at Michael's just picking up something that I needed and they had the Caron Anniversary Cakes on sale for 40% off. I had been seeing them online and I was like, do I need them? It's kind of gimmicky, like what am I gonna do with it? I wasn't sure about them, but when I saw that they were on sale, I knew I had to grab it. And I got the color Prismatic. It's like the rainbow one. And I really did think that these colors were really beautiful. And I have been pinning and looking and watching at a whole bunch of different rainbow crochet cardigan videos. And I thought that this would be perfect to make one of those. It's basically all the yarn you need for that kind of project, and I really liked the colors. And I saw someone working with this making a blanket, and they were saying that the color changes happened quite quickly, which I actually think will be perfect for a cardigan. So my plan with this, I'm just gonna put my yarn baby on my lap. My plan for this is to make a raglan style cardigan. I know just in my last video I did a raglan style top and I really liked how that came together. And I saw Ava P's video where she makes a raglan, this one is a knit, but a raglan rainbow cardigan, and I really loved the way that that looked. And I want it to be a cardigan that can do up and button up so that it can also act as a sweater and not just one that you kind of throw over. So I think the raglan style will help with that as well. We'll just make it easier to do up and a little bit of a tighter fit across the body. So I'm not going to be following a pattern for this necessarily. I think I know like the fundamentals on how to make a raglan and how to kind of measure that out. So I'm going to do that. And when I don't use a pattern, what I like to do as well is find a piece of clothing that I like the fit of and use that as a guideline. So I have this sweater that I thrifted last fall, and I really like the way that it fits because, again, like I said, it can do up, so it has more of a sweater look than just a cardigan. I really like the width of the ribbing around it as well. So I think it'll be nice to follow that as a guideline, and it's already in that raglan style. So you can see there's like the two halves of the neck, then there's the shoulders, and then it does the same thing across the back. And I really like the fit of this. It's just like the perfect amount of oversized without being huge. It can fit over top of like a longer sleeved shirt. So this will be the template, and we'll be following these measurements. But obviously yellow, kind of boring, kind of plain. Now we can make a big rainbow version. Okay, so I'm just going to measure the base piece that I'm basing my measurements on for my recreation. So I'm going to start with measuring the back, the shoulder, and the front panel so that I know where to divide for those when I'm making the raglan. So I'm going to start with the back. I'm just measuring this in centimeters because it's a little bit more exact. And for me, that is 16 centimeters. Then I'm going to measure the shoulder, which is just about 8 centimeters. And then the front panel, which is 8 as well. So nice and easy. That is 16 for the back, 8 and 8, and it will be the same on the other side. So 8 for the left shoulder and the left front panel as well. So now I'm going to take those measurements and put them into a little calculator. I'll tag the video that I watched, but it's a really helpful breakdown, step-by-step breakdown of how to figure out how many stitches you need to create a raglan. It's just a little bit of a formula, a little bit of a diagram. I'll walk you through how I do it as well, but I found that video super, super helpful. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so now I'm going to make just a little baby gauge swatch to see how many stitches it takes to equal our measurement of 16 centimeters, and then I'm going to use that stitch number to then figure out how many foundation chain stitches I need to make and start the raglan. This yarn calls for an 8mm hook, which actually luckily I bought one a while ago and had no idea what to do with it, and it was sitting in my collection, so I'm grateful for that. That was a happy accident because I was like, there's no way I have an 8mm, and I do. Definitely the largest hook size I've ever worked with, and this is quite a chunky yarn. I don't know what weight, a weight 6 super bulky, which I've also never worked with before. So I think this will be nice to make sure that the cardigan doesn't get too stiff and bulky when you use a hook size that's a little bit smaller than recommended. Sometimes, especially with acrylic, it gets really dense, which I don't love. But we'll see with this larger hook and larger yarn how many double crochet stitches it takes us to reach that 16 centimeter mark. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I've just done 20 double crochets to start. I know that this is longer than 16 centimeters, but I'm just going to see how many of these 20 stitches that I've made does it take to reach 16 centimeters. So I'm just going to grab my measuring tape, and it looks like, so the gauge is saying 13 stitches equals 16 centimeters. I'm going to round that up to 14 stitches just for my math and what I'm going to be doing. It's easier to work with an even number. And if anything, I want the sweater to be a little bit larger than the original and not smaller. So I'm gonna go with 14 stitches equals 16 centimeters.
Okay, and then this is kind of how I took those measurements and laid out my pattern. So again, I knew that 16 centimeters was 14 stitches. So at 14 stitches was my back panel measurement. Then the front panels was just that measurement divided by 2. So 7 stitches on one half and 7 stitches on the other. And then for the shoulder measurements, again, based on that original cardigan, they were the same width as the front panels. So I did 7 stitches on both of those shoulder panels as well. And then what you need to do for a raglan is to add 1 stitch on each corner to make the increase. So you'll see I've marked them out there. There were 4 corners, so 4 additional stitches, and that gives us a total chain number of 46 stitches. Okay, so I've made my foundation chain of 46 stitches, and I've just brought it over here and folded it basically in half. These 2 kind of open sides represent the front, where those buttons are gonna go. This is the back and the shoulders. It's not perfect right now, but just so that I can visualize when I'm putting in the stitch markers. So I'm going to be putting the stitch marker into the 8th stitch on the chain. So this is, again, the front, and then we're going 8 over to mark where the shoulder begins. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put a stitch marker there. And then we are going to count the same number down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just using purple to indicate the back and yellow to indicate the front, but it really doesn't matter. This is just for my own brain. Then we're going to count, I'm going to start from this side again, and we are going to count 8 stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'm going to put a stitch marker there. And again, we are going to count 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm going to put a stitch marker there. So now we have it marked out where we see our front sections, we see where our shoulder section begins and ends, and we see our back section as well. So I will be placing my corner increases where the stitch markers are placed. Okay, so I've chained my 46, I've placed my stitch markers, and now I'm going to start on my first row of double crochets. So I'm going to chain 2 and double crochet into the third stitch. Yarn is very slippery. And I'm going to continue to work one double crochet into each chain until we get to our stitch marker. Okay, so we've reached the first stitch marker, and to make the corner, we are going to double crochet once, chain 2, and then do another double crochet into the same stitch, so into the same hole that the first double crochet was in. So it looks like that, it creates a little V. And now I'm going to keep going with one double crochet into the next stitches. So back to what we were doing at the start. So just one double crochet into each of these next stitches. Already noticing some weirdness with the yarn, some bleeding and discoloration, so we don't love to see that. Okay, we've reached our next stitch marker, so we're going to do the same thing that we did in the previous corner. So we add our double crochet, chain 2, and then place another double crochet back into the same stitch, creating the V shape. So you'll see that here and here. And then we are going to continue on as normal, one double crochet in each stitch. And you can remove the stitch markers as you're making the corners if you find that they're getting in the way. I'm paranoid and I feel like I'm gonna forget where the corner is, so I like to just leave them in and crochet around them. But if you find them annoying, you can just remove them as you make your corners. Okay, next corner, same thing. One double crochet, chain 2, second double crochet into the same stitch, creating a V, and we will continue. And we are in our last corner, same thing, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the same stitch, and we will finish it off with one double crochet in each stitch until you reach the end of the chain. Okay, and that is what the first round is looking like. So that's the end of the first round. So you can see it's starting to take a little bit more shape now. We see those two front pieces, our shoulder pieces, and our back piece. And we have some nicely defined corners that we will keep increasing on as we add length and width to the sweater. So I'm going to show you how to do the second row. Pretty straightforward, similar to the first row. And once you've got this, It's essentially just doing the same thing over and over until you've reached a length that will fit under your armpits. I'll show you when I reach that point, but I've just chained 3. I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next stitches. I'm counting that turning chain as a double crochet. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now we've reached where we've made our first increase. So I'm going to place a double crochet in the top of this V stitch. So it's going to go right here, treating it as if it was a normal stitch along the row. So a double crochet there. Then we're going to do a double crochet inside this V. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around, insert my hook from the front, and create a double crochet. Chain 2. Insert my hook back into the V, create another double crochet. So doing the same increase that we did in the previous row, making that V shape. And then I'm going to do a double crochet into the top of the V from the previous round. So it will look like this. You have your 2 V's stacked on top of each other, like that. And then I'm going to continue with 1 double crochet in each space until I get to the next increase. Okay, so I've reached my next increase. I've placed a stitch in the top of the V of the previous increase. I'm going into the center of the V here, adding a double crochet, chaining 2, and adding another double crochet into the center of that V. So again, it will look like this. And then placing my next crochet in the top of the V from the previous round, and continuing with 1 double crochet in the next stitches. Okay, so I've just finished round 2, and this is what it's looking like. So we can see those increases on every corner, and it's starting to get larger, wider, longer. I'm really liking how the color changes are looking already. It kind of looks like intentionally scrappy, or like using scrap yarn and changing yarns without having to do that. And like the creator that I saw was saying, the color changes do happen quite quickly within the span of like 20 stitches, which is perfect for a project like this. Okay, so I've just shown you how I've done the first 2 rows of the Raglan cardigan. Now I'm just going to keep doing the exact same thing over and over until the cardigan is long enough to join under my armpit. I'll probably refer to the measurements of the template cardigan as well, just to see where they make the join. But I'm just gonna sit here and crochet away until we reach that point. Hello everyone, it's the next day. If I look tired, it's because I am. It was a long work day today, but I made some good progress on the cardigan last night. I'll show you where we're at. This is what it's looking like. So we've added some length, and I've just gotten to the point where I want to connect
the armpit and start working on the sleeves and the length. So kind of how I know that this is the right length, the cardigan that I am using as a reference, I measured the distance from the top of the shoulder down to the armpit, and it was 27 centimeters. And that was just a little bit tight, so I just added a couple more centimeters here. We're looking more at like 29 centimeters now, so just giving a little bit more room, especially because this is bulky and there's going to be some bulk under the armpit. I didn't want the armpits to be like right up here so that it's uncomfortable to be like putting your arms down and moving. So yeah, it's at the length that I want now to split that off. I can try it on here so that you can see. Looks a little crazy right now, but that's okay. But yeah, this is how it's looking. So as you can see, it is like a nice length now to connect under the armpit. So I think that will look nice.
Okay, so this is where we're at. I already joined the underarm on this side, and I've just reached the other corner on this side. So I'm going to show you how I join them together. So we're working from the back, and I've just reached the V here. So I'm going to go into the V. I'm going to do 1 double crochet. And then instead of chaining 2 like we've been doing, I'm going to just do another double crochet directly next to the first one. And then I'm going to chain 4. So this was the length that I wanted to create under the armpit, that 5 centimeters like we talked about before. So that's my chain of 4. And now I'm going to go into the other side. And I find it easier actually to go kind of back to front here, just to kind of put the stitches in the right place. This could be because I'm doing it incorrectly, but I find that's easiest. So again, I'm at the other V, the adjacent V. I'm going to prepare to do a double crochet, go into that space that we've created, yarn over and pull through 2 and 1, and I'm going to put another double crochet right next to it, and that'll go right here. And so now you can see we've created this armhole, the join, and then we're going to continue crocheting. Now we're looking at the front. We're going to continue crocheting along the front. Then we will double crochet and go all the way back along. So I will show you this now. Okay, so I made the join. I crocheted along this way. I chained and I turned my work and crocheted back along this way. And now I'm going to show you how I crochet into that joining chain that we created. So I'm going to take our work and I'm going to double crochet into the double crochets that we placed in what were the increase. So they'll go here. And then I just put 1 double crochet into each of the stitches that I created for the join. So there should be 4 chains here, and I'm going to do 1 double crochet in each chain. So 4 double crochets all together. This yarn is so bulky and so splitty, so a little tricky, but there we go. So that's how it looks, and when you see it right side up, looks like this and creates the join, and everything is lined up. You can see we have the same number of stitches, nothing weird is happening. And now instead of doing an increase every time that you reach a corner, you just do a double crochet. So no more increases from this point on as we create the length down the rest of the body. So I'm just going to keep going. Basically what will happen is I'll crochet all along the back. I'll come back around and I'll do the same thing that I did on that side. So I'll get here,
see if you can see me, get here, I'll crochet 1 double crochet into each of these joining chains I made here, and we'll do double crochets along this end, chain, turn, and go back. So really simply now it's just double crocheting length, 1 double crochet in each stitch until the end, no more increases. Hello everyone, it's day 3 of the rainbow cardigan, and this is where we're at. So last night I added some length to the bottom, and I'm just trying to get it to a place that I'm happy with. So I am liking this length, especially at the back, which is kind of hard to see, but I hate when your sweater's just like a little bit too short at the back and then cold breeze blows up your back. So I just wanted to make sure it was long enough, but because it is so bulky, I didn't want it to be super long. I wanted to keep it kind of cropped, and there will be a ribbed border around the bottom as well, so that'll add like 1.5 inches more to the bottom. So I think we've reached length that I'm really liking. This is how it's coming together. I kind of like that we have like a warm side and a cool side. Sorry, I have to hold my giant yarn child because we're still attached. But I think it's coming out really nice. The back actually is my favorite part. I think the stripes really came together nicely at the back. But now that we've reached this point, I'm going to fasten off, and then I'm going to start working on adding length to the sleeves. So I'm going to join my yarn kind of under the armpit so that that join is seamless. You can't really see it. It's in a place that's not very obvious under the armpit. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and just adding 1 double crochet into each of the double crochets until it reaches my wrist. I'm not going to be doing any decreases. I don't want this to get too narrow in the arm. I like a little bit of a wider sleeve, and the ribbing will nip it in just a little bit, but overall I'm going to keep it pretty wide, especially in the colder months, so that I can put sweaters or just thicker tops underneath. So that's going to be what's next, adding length to these 2 sleeves, and then we will add the ribbing everywhere, buttons, and we're getting closer, almost done. Okay, so like I was just saying, I'm going to start working on the length of the sleeve. So I fastened off my yarn from the bottom, and I'm going to connect it just here under the armpit. You can connect it wherever you want, but I like doing it here just so that it's a little bit more concealed. It's a little bit neater. And where I fastened my yarn off, the next color was yellow. And on this sleeve, we already had a lot of yellow going on, so I decided to start with this sleeve. It really doesn't matter which sleeve you work on first, whichever one you like more. So I'm just going to connect my yarn with a slip stitch right here under the armpit, and then I'm going to work single crochets all the way around. When I get back to the beginning, I'm going to join them with a slip stitch, chain 3, and then just continue on around and around. Good morning, everyone. Cardigan update of the day. So last night I got the ribbing done on the 2 front panels, which looks great. And I also took the ribbing off of the bottom. I was doing a slip stitching into 2 stitches and then making 1 row of ribbing, and it just condensed the bottom of the sweater too much. Like, it was too tight around the waist, and I really don't like that. So I've taken it off. I might redo it. I also might just leave it and do just a single crochet hem all around the bottom, because I am really liking the shape and the length as it is right now, and if doing ribbing is going to keep messing that up. Okay, so great button debate. We have the star
and the wooden button. And I think the scale of the wooden button is perfect. Like, because the cardigan is so chunky, I think a larger button makes more sense. But also because it's a rainbow sweater, I think the whimsy of the star button like really just like brings it all together. So I think I'm gonna sew one of the star buttons on and just make sure that it is large enough that when this is closed, it's not just slipping out from the buttonhole. And if that's working, then we're gonna go with the stars. If not, we'll do the wooden buttons, which I also don't think look bad at all, but those stars are so special. So let's see. Okay, and after all of that, the cardigan is finished. Yay! I'm gonna insert some clips of me wearing it, more of like a full body shot of me wearing the cardigan. But I'm super pleased with how it turned out. I think the fit is exactly what I wanted. It's oversized, but it's not huge. And the crop, the length that it hits on my waist is absolutely perfect. It was exactly what I was looking for. I love the way that the stripes came out with that anniversary cake. I think because the yarn, the self-striping was so short, it actually works really nicely in a garment like this because you get lots of variation and lots of stripes happening. So it really almost gives the look of more of like a scrappy cardigan, which was what I wanted in the first place. I'll show you how much yarn I used out of the cake. So this is what it's looking like now, really deflated and sad. I'd say I probably used somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 of the anniversary cake. So there's still enough left over. I wasn't worried about running out, which is good. I do think if you're making this, you could probably get up to like an extra large size with one of these anniversary cakes, no problem. But with the leftovers, I'm probably going to make a long scarf for the fall. I think that'll be nice with what's left of this yarn, so it will definitely go to use. And I did like working with it for the most part. I think there were the yarn was splitty for sure. There were parts as well where you could tell like when they were going between two different colors, there was like some parts where the yarn was joined that just were like sticking out, and the dye was weird, so I didn't love that. And it's definitely like, it's an affordable yarn and it comes through, I think, in some of that, especially like the white areas. There's like bleeding from the other colors, so you kind of get like a flecked funfetti kind of look, which I didn't hate, but just something to note. And yeah, it was splitty and a little bit difficult to work with, but I would definitely use it again, and I would make one of these in another color like tomorrow. And it was fun to work with a large ball of yarn like that. It wasn't very practical. I didn't take it anywhere with me. Like I couldn't take it to Crochet Circle. I couldn't take it on commutes or anything because it was just like obnoxiously large. So a good one for a project if you're going to be hanging out at home for sure. And I don't think you need to use the anniversary cake to make something like this either. Any self-striping yarn that you love will work. It's also a great one to use up scraps. If I had a bunch of acrylic scraps of different colors, you can choose your own adventure, put the stripes where you want, the thickness, the thinness, and go a little bit less uniform than this, which I think would also be really nice. So definitely not necessary to use the anniversary cakes, but it was a fun kind of novelty thing to buy that ended up turning into a garment that I'm really excited about. So can't complain about that. And in terms of time to finish the project, I started this on Sunday of last week and today is Saturday, so 6 days total. I'd say about 2 hours a day, so 12 hours, but there was some like learning curves and some hits and misses and different things like that. So I'd say like probably doable in 10 if you're not messing around like I was, or if you're a little bit more focused. So not too bad, and I think that's because the yarn is so bulky and you're using such a large hook size, so it really works up quite quickly. But yeah, again, like I said, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's going to be a total staple
in my fall wardrobe. I really wanted a cardigan like this, and they can be so expensive. So to make this, I got the cake for like 33 bucks and then just 12 hours of my time and labor. But yeah, I really am so happy with how it turned out. If you make something similar, have any rainbow projects you've got on the go, definitely share them with me. I'd love to know. I'm also sorry if this wasn't the clearest video to follow. It was kind of trial and error on my side as well, but I think if you're like an intermediate crocheter, hopefully there's enough detail here that if you wanted to try to make your own, you could. Again, I'm going to link those videos that I found helpful in the creation of this down below, especially the measuring and calculating your raglan neckline video that I found super helpful, so that will be linked down below. But yeah, thank you again for watching. Thanks for following along, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!